Well, at a recent Illinois town hall, after Ted Kennedy's funeral, this was Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky's, she mentions Ted Kennedy, and people just start booing. I don't know what's going on there. Take a listen to this.
You know, Ted Kennedy had said that this was the great issue of his life.
All right. So we have both cheering and booing at the mention of Ted Kennedy's name. Speaking of Ted Kennedy, it's amazing. I don't know if you remember. Let's see if we have it here. There's this show called the Quinn and Rose Show, and this guy Quinn's the guy. He at one point, and I do have it here. He was saying we should charge homosexuals more for their health insurance.
They should charge homosexuals more for their health insurance than they charge the rest of us.
And he also said,
gay sex produces AIDS, which the state doesn't have or should have an interest in.
Okay, so that's Quinn. Rose, his female counterpart, had the following to say about Ted Kennedy's passing.
And then I've got to watch this on the news all weekend?
Well,
this pig?
What kind of...
good riddance, that's what I say.
I'm
sorry.
Free at last, free at last. Great God Almighty,
God, the 16-year-olds are free at last from this pervert.
16-year-olds are free from Ted Kennedy. Okay. Where, I don't know. I compared to the Rush Limbaugh stuff we had last week, I guess this isn't that bad, but give it a break, you know? It's not even the type of shocking thing that's kind of entertaining. It's just kind of weird, and what are they talking about? I don't know. Michael Steele, of course, Michael Steele is the current Republican Party chairman. He says the government would do healthcare 10 times worse, and that based on that, we don't want to get stopped up. We need to look into this. So we can't just say we're going to have a public option and forget about it. But who does he want to look into this? He wants the government to look into it. If he can't trust the government to administer healthcare, why does he assume that the government is going to do a great job of looking into it? And the guy on NPR, I'm not sure who this is, does a good job of calling him on it. Michael Steele completely unfazed.
You know, if the government's going to do it, it's going to do it 10 times worse, and it's going to be more pronounced than the private insurers. And I think that's a feature that we can fix right now. And sure, there are issues in the insurance market that we can regulate a little bit better and that we can control better to maximize the benefits to the consumers. That's something that, yeah, we can rightly reform and fix.
Wait a minute, wait. You would trust the government to look into that?
No, I'm talking about citizens.
You said that's something that should be looked into. Who is it that should look into that?
I'm talking about those who regulates the insurance markets.
That would be the government, I
believe.
Well,
and so wait a minute, hold up. You're doing a wonderful little dance here, and you're trying to be cute. But the reality of this is very simple. I'm not saying the government doesn't have a role to play. I've never said that.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad you didn't say that. I don't know that he's doing a cute little dance. I think he's making a good point, which is if you want the government completely uninvolved, then the government would be 10 times worse at anything healthcare related than the private industry. Why is the government the default to look into this and to make a recommendation? And why is the government so trustworthy in terms of writing reports, but not in terms of doing anything? I think it's a good point.
Well, I guess they just can't run a good business.
That you think that's Michael Steele's argument?
Maybe.
They can analyze, they just can't. Well, maybe I think part of the argument is why is it being run as a business? Let's take some of these things and not run them as a business and run this the way so many other countries do. And by the way that Medicare is run, which is we hear arguments about how great Medicare is. And this is a really weird exchange. I don't know if you're familiar with Maria Bartiromo. She's on CNBC, and she's pretty well known within the finance industry. But she says a lot of strange stuff, as I think I just heard her talking somewhere. She somehow snuck in here. She was talking to Anthony Weiner about Medicare and about a bunch of other stuff. And this is the most unbelievable argument. He's 44, okay? Why, if Medicare is so good, why isn't he using it?
Medicare. You asked where there are public plans. No. The United States of America, 40% of all tax dollars go through a public plan. Ask your parent or grandparent, ask your neighbor whether they're satisfied with Medicare. Now, there's a funding problem, but the quality of care is terrific. You get complete choice. You can go anywhere you want.
How come you don't use it? You don't have it. How come
frankly,
you don't have it?
because I'm not 65. I would love it.
Yeah, come on. You have a better health plan than everybody else.
First of all, that is 100% not true, and I have to stop you there. Federal employees, from the janitors to congressmen, have a government plan that is okay. It's not. I wouldn't complain about it. I want the cheapest plan because I'm young, I'm healthy. Medicare for someone age 45, I would take it in a beat, and frankly, so would you, because it's an excellent plan. If you don't believe it.
So wait a second, Congressman Anthony Weiner isn't on Medicare, so it must be a horrible plan. Oh, wait a second, he's 44 years old. Bizarre argument, and you have to assume she knows that. And by the way, one of the suggested strategies here for getting government coverage for everybody was let's start slowly expanding the age at which you can obtain Medicare. And I think it's a good idea, and I think it's too late now. I think if the Obama administration had taken that up from the start, it could have been useful, which is okay. Instead of 65, let's open that up to people who are 60 and over. And at the same time, let's also expand the limits on it's Medicaid that is income-based, I think. Let's expand some of the income limits on that, and we can just get more people in that pool, test it. If it goes well for 18 or 24 months, now it's a case study. Hey, the government we can expand the number of people we're covering, and we can still do a good job. I think it's too late now probably for Barack Obama to say, actually, let's just expand the age. And he wouldn't even have had to call it a public option. He could have said, we're going to expand Medicare and Medicaid coverage.
I don't think that's a bad idea, and it would have to go through, tests. But I think, if he said that would, I think that would still send, far right people off the deep end. Yeah.
It definitely would, but at least it can't be said that it's a plan that's already in place, that John McCain likes, that so many conservatives and members of the military and so on and so forth are essentially on that plan. It would be harder to say that the entire concept is a socialist concept the way that you hear at the town halls now. I don't know. I think it would have been a good idea, and we'll see what happens.
Right. I mean, it's one we already have in place, just making a slight alteration.
Let's expand it. Exactly.